Hello all, and welcome back to another segment of Shadow Stories. The channel in which we explore and investigate the stories from some of our favorite epics and tales that don't like to see the light of day too often. This is a Dragon Ball story. This is one I wrote myself. It is the story of the Saiyan-Tuffle hybrid, Morelorey, born to Sakura the Saiyan, who was Bardock's sister, and Shimiji, a Tuffle scientist. I hope you enjoy this shadowed story. And without further ado, let's get right into Morelorey the Saiyan-Tuffle hybrid. Under the ominous glow of the full moon on planet Vegeta, chaos unfolded. The once prosperous Tuffle civilization crumbled as the Saiyan warriors transformed into the monstrous great ape and ravaged their lands in an unstoppable frenzy. Among the Saiyan ranks stood Sakura, sister to the infamous Bardock, driven by loyalty to her people and their conquest. As dawn broke, the Saiyans returned to their humanoid forms. The massacre revealed in its grim aftermath amidst the ruins. Sakura stumbled upon a survivor, a frail Tuffle scientist named Shimiji. His glasses were cracked, his body was bruised, yet his spirit remained unyielding. For reasons she couldn't explain, Sakura felt an uncharacteristic pang of pity as she gazed into his defiant eyes. She could not bring herself to deliver the final blow. Instead, Sakura made a choice that would change her life forever. Under the cover of darkness, Sakura smuggled Shimiji to a hidden cave far from the prying eyes of her fellow Saiyans. Over time, their animosity faded, replaced by an unexpected bond. Shimiji shared his knowledge of advanced Tuffle technology, while Sakura revealed the complexities of her warrior culture. From shared struggles grew mutual respect, and eventually, love. Years passed, and their secret union bore fruit. A son, Morelorey. The child was unlike any other, with his Saiyan heritage granting him strength and resilience, and his Tuffle lineage granting him intelligence beyond his years. For Sakura, Morelorey was her greatest joy, but also her deepest fear. She knew that if her people discovered her forbidden family, they would destroy them. Sakura hid Shimiji and Morelorey in an underground refuge, visiting them when she could, but always wary of detection. Life on planet Vegeta grew increasingly tense as whispers of Frieza's disdain for the Saiyans spread. Sakura began to feel the weight of impending doom. One fateful day, Frieza's fleet arrived in orbit. Sakura sensed the end was near. Desperate to save her son, she and Shimiji made a heartbreaking decision. Using the Tuffle technology Shimiji had salvaged, they modified a Saiyan space pod to fit Morelorey's small frame. It was their only chance. As explosions rocked the planet, Sakura cradled her 4-year-old son for the last time. "You are stronger and smarter than anyone. Remember who you are. You are Saiyan and Tuffle, a survivor. You'll make us proud." Shimaji placed a hand on Morelorey's shoulder, his voice steady, despite the tears in his eyes. You will carry the legacy of 2 worlds, my son. Never forget us. With a final embrace, they secured Morelorey in the pod. As the countdown began, Zukara and Shimaji watched their son's tear-streaked face through the glass. The pod launched, escaping the atmosphere moments before Frieza's deadly attack. The couple held each other tightly as the blinding light consumed the planet Vegeta. Morelorey soared through space, unaware of his destination, but driven by the echoes of his parents, love, and their sacrifice. He was the last hope, a unique being destined for greatness. The skies above Barbican were painted in hues of deep orange and smoky gray. As the twin suns dipped beneath the horizon, high atop Hikora's mountain, the air carried the faint aroma of sizzling wood and charred herbs, a hallmark of this planet's fiery environment. Hikora, an aged Grillian with skin as azure as the depths of a frozen sea, shuffled around the entrance of her modest stone dwelling. Her once lustrous horns now bore the scars of time, and her robes flowed like embers in the wind. Hikora paused, her senses tingling. A sound, a distant, hollow thud, echoed through the canyons below. It was unlike anything she had ever heard. Her sharp, time-hardened eyes scanned the horizon. A trail of smoke spiraled upward, faint but distinct, not far from her secluded sanctuary. Gripping her wooden staff, Hikora descended the mountain with surprising agility for her age. Her bare feet navigated the craggy terrain effortlessly, each step deliberate and steady. As she drew closer to the source of the disturbance, her heart quickened. Something had fallen from the heavens, embedding itself into the soft, dark soil at the mountain's base. Before her stood a strange metallic object, still hissing with steam from its fiery descent. Hikora's curiosity was piqued, but her cautious nature kept her at a safe distance. With a wave of her hand, she emitted a faint blue energy, a Grillian technique used to sense life. To her astonishment, she felt a presence within the object. It was small and unfamiliar, yet undeniably alive. Using her staff, she tapped gently on the pod's exterior. A sharp hiss startled her as the pod's hatch creaked open, releasing a cloud of pressurized gas. As the fog cleared, Hikora's breath caught, and side curled up and trembling, was a child no older than 4 years, with wild black hair and a tail coiled around his waist. The boy's dark, tear-filled eyes locked into hers. Hikora softened. "Well now," she murmured in her deep, raspy voice. "What have we here? A little flame snuffed too soon?" She extended her hand, and to her amazement, the boy grabbed her finger, gripping it tightly. His tiny fingers trembled against her calloused palm. Hikora gently lifted him from the pod, holding him close as he shivered. There, she soothed. "You're safe now, little one. Hikora will care for you." As she carried the boy back to her mountain dwelling, the pod's interior caught her eye, etched with strange markings and symbols unlike any she had seen. She knew this child was not a Barbican. His presence was an anomaly, one that could bring either hope or ruin to her world. For now, he was simply a scared child in need of warmth and safety. As the twin suns set completely, Hikora reached her home and laid the boy by the fire. She watched him drift into a fitful sleep, his tail twitching ever so slightly. Hikora had lived a long, solitary life, but in her heart, she knew that this boy, whoever he was, had changed her fate forever. Outside, the smoldering remains of the pod sat ominously under the starry sky, a silent harbinger of the trials to come. 30 years later. The sprawling capital of Barbican bustled with energy as the annual Flame Warden martial arts tournament drew to a close. Morelorey stood atop the podium, his sleek black hair matted with sweat, and his championship sash slung over his shoulder. For the 5th consecutive year, he had bested the fiercest fighters on the planet. Yet, as the crowd chanted his name, he felt a hollowness deep within, a void that no victory could fill. Later that evening, as the torches of the arena dimmed, Morelorey retreated to his sanctuary on Hikora's mountain. Though Hikora had passed years ago, her teachings in quiet strength remained a part of him. It was here, amidst the stone halls of Hikora's mountain dwelling, that he meditated and tinkered with the remains of his childhood pod, a constant enigma that refused to yield its secrets. Tonight, however, the pod would finally reveal its purpose. A sudden flash of blue light erupted from its console, startling Morelorey. He watched in awe as the dormant device hummed to life, its screen displaying a garbled transmission in an alien script. With his intellect, it didn't take long for him to decode the message. This is the Galactic Communication Network Universal Priority Bulletin. Emperor Frieza has been slain. The Saiyan responsible, known as Kakarot or Goku, has liberated countless worlds from tyranny. All those oppressed by the Cold Empire may now rejoice. Morelorey's heart raced as the words sank in. Frieza, the name stirred vague memories of whispered fears and hushed conversation between his parents. And the name Kakarot, it felt strangely familiar, as if etched into his very soul. Could this Saiyan be connected to him? Could he? His tail lashed, instinctively, as adrenaline coursed through him. Kakarot, he muttered. A Saiyan like me? Could he be? The revelation ignited a storm within him. The faint fragments of his early childhood on planet Vegeta began piecing together. Memories of his parents' faces, their voices, their love. He recalled his mother, Sukara, whispering of their shared bloodline and the tragedy that befell their people. Morelorey clenched his fists, his Saiyan blood boiling with a mix of anger and exhilaration. I need answers, he said, his voice resolute. If Kakarot defeated Frieza, then he must know the truth of our people, of my parents' sacrifice. But as his Tuffle side cooled his temper, logic took hold. He could not rush blindly into the vast galaxy. He would need to prepare, to strategize, to uncover every detail about this Saiyan named Goku and the world he now called home. Turning to the pod's database, Morelorey began scanning its star charts, searching for any trace of Saiyan activity. Morelorey had pinpointed the trajectory of Goku's spaceship from the exploding planet Namek to the planet Yardrat. As the night wore on, the child who had once been launched into space alone now stood poised on the brink of a new journey, one that would connect him to his past, his culture, and the truth of the fate of his people. Morelorey adjusted the controls of his newly acquired ship, a tall, off-white vessel with purple windows. The password, Nail, had been perplexing at first, but he eventually unlocked its secrets through meticulous trial and error. Though he cursed the trade he had made with Lit and her notorious gang, parting with Hikora's cherished 4-star orb, he knew the sacrifice was necessary. His destiny demanded it. The journey to Yardrat was uneventful, yet each passing moment heightened his anticipation. Would this Saiyan, this Kakarot, hold the answers he sought? Morelorey had rehearsed what he might say, but nothing could prepare him for the emotions swirling within him. His ship landed smoothly amidst the alien terrain of Yardrat. The planet was an oddity. Its surface glimmered with hues of violet and green, and its inhabitants, the Yardrats, were small robed beings known for their wisdom and unusual techniques. As he exited the ship, locals peered at him curiously, their eyes widening at his tail. Morelorey approached cautiously, speaking in a calm but commanding voice. Have you heard news of a crash landing? A stranger arriving from the stars? He asked, scanning their expressions. The yard rats exchanged hushed whispers before one stepped forward, pointing to the northern horizon. Yes, Saiyan, you seek him. He is unlike any we have seen before. His power, it is immense. Morelorey's heart raced as he thanked the yard rat and took to the skies, his aura trailing behind him like a blue flame. It wasn't long before he reached the crater, a massive scar on the land, its edges still glowing faintly from the ship's impact. He descended cautiously. Examining the wreckage, it was unmistakable this was the ship he had tracked from Namek. Suddenly his senses were overwhelmed. A surge of energy rippled through the air, powerful and unrelenting. Morelorey clutched his chest, and his body instinctively trembled in response. He had never felt anything like it, a raw, unyielding force that dwarfed even the mightiest warriors of Barbaquan. Following the energy trail, he soared to its source. Amidst a clearing stood two figures, a Yardrat elder, radiating a steady but gentle power, and a Saiyan dressed in tattered orange and blue garments, his hair standing wildly as he unleashed a torrent of energy in concentrated bursts. Morelorey could hardly believe it. The Saiyan was training, pushing himself to the brink, his every move calculated yet brimming with ferocity. Morelorey landed softly, his presence unnoticed at first. He observed, his eyes fixed on the Saiyan who matched the description of Kakarot. There was an undeniable resemblance to his uncle Bardock. The piercing gaze, the untamed spirit. Morelorey felt a pang of familiarity, but also doubt. Could this truly be his cousin? The Yardrat elder noticed him first, his wise eyes narrowing in curiosity. You are not of this world. Speak your purpose. At the elder's words, the Saiyan paused, turning to face Morelorey. Their eyes met. For a moment, the world seemed to stand still. Morelorey stepped forward, his voice steady despite the storm within him. You are Kakarot, the one who defeated Frieza? The Saiyan tilted his head, his expression curious yet friendly. That's me, but most people call me Goku. Morelorey's tail twitched as he struggled to find the right words. I've come seeking answers about our people, about our family. Goku blinked, his confusion evident. Family? Morelorey took a deep breath. I am Morelorey, son of Zukara, your aunt. My mother was Bardock's sister. Goku's eyes widened in shock, the weight of the revelation hitting him. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Instead, he stared at Morelorey, his expression a mixture of disbelief and awe. For the first time, Morelorey felt hope, not just for understanding his past, but for forging a connection that would change his future. The two Saiyans stood in silence, their shared heritage hanging in the air like an unspoken promise. The air between them hung heavy with anticipation. Goku, ever the embodiment of optimism and curiosity, cocked his head to one side, his trademark grin spreading across his face. Well, he said, scratching the back of his head, if you say you're family, then that's good enough for me. Morelorey blinked momentarily, taken aback by the simplicity of Goku's acceptance. The weight of his journey, the sacrifice of his parents, and the complex tangle of emotions he felt suddenly seemed lighter. But before he could respond, Goku's tone shifted, becoming both thoughtful and slightly sheepish. Though, the last guy who claimed to be my family tried to kill me and my friends, Goku added, his voice trailing into a nervous chuckle. That didn't work out so great for him. Morelorey stiffened, unsure how to respond. Goku's carefree demeanor suddenly evaporated, and his expression turned serious, or rather, as serious as Goku could manage. His brows furrowed, his dark eyes narrowed, and yet the slightest hint of a silly smile lingered on his lips. You're not here to cause me harm, are you? Goku asked, leaning forward slightly. Morelorey's eyes widened in embarrassment. and he raised his hands defensively. "No, of course not," he said quickly, his cheeks flushing. "I just want to learn more about my past." Goku leaned back and let out a long, exaggerated sigh of relief. "Oh, that's good. You had me worried there for a second." But before Morellory could regain his composure, Goku's grin returned, this time with a mischievous edge. "All right, I'll help you," he said, bouncing slightly on the tip of his feet. "But there's just one thing. If you want answers, you'll have to spar me for them." Morellory's mouth fell open. "Spar you?" he repeated. His Tuffle mind raced, cataloging the sheer power he had witnessed moments ago when Goku was training. The idea of facing off against someone of such overwhelming strength was a daunting task, even for him. "Come on," Goku said, gesturing with his hands in a playful but insistent manner. "You're strong, I can tell. And the best way to really get to know someone is to fight them." Morellory hesitated, his pride wearing with his practicality. He had come so far, sacrificed so much, and endured countless challenges to reach this point. Turning back now was not an option. He squared his shoulders and nodded, determination flashing in his eyes. "All right," Morellory said, his voice firm despite his lingering hesitation. "I'll spar you, but don't go easy on me." Goku's grin widened, and he hopped back a few paces, cracking his knuckles. "Easy on you? I don't know the meaning of the phrase." As the two Saiyans faced off, the Yardrat elder stepped aside, his wise gaze watching the scene unfold. The winds of Yardrat swirled around them, carrying with them the promise of a clash that would not only test their strength, but also uncover the truth of their shared legacy. The sparring match between Goku and Morellory ended with a flash of light and the roar of an instant transmission Kamehameha Goku had perfected during his Yardrat training. As the dust settled, Morellory stunned on the ground, his body aching, but his resolve intact. The wise Yardrat elder stepped forward and with a gentle touch healed Morellory first, then Goku, restoring them both to their full strength. "You've grown strong," the elder said, Morellory, his voice calm, yet filled with meaning. "But strength alone is not enough to shape your path. Wisdom must guide you." Morellory nodded, humbled by both the elder's words and Goku's overwhelming power. As he rose to his feet, he turned to Goku. "You defeated Frieza, didn't you? Is it true?" Goku, still catching his breath, gave a sheepish smile. "Yeah, I guess you could say that. But honestly, it wasn't all me. Namek's explosion, well, it helped a lot." Morellory listened intently as Goku explained how Frieza was caught in the planet's destruction. When the tale ended, Morellory took a deep breath and looked over at Goku with all seriousness and said, "So it was Frieza who destroyed our home planet, wasn't it, Goku?" Goku replied, "Yeah, but I got him back for us." Goku continued. "Thank you for that, Goku," said Morellory. Then Morellory began recounting his own story, his Saiyan-Tuffle heritage, his parents, his sacrifice, and the journey that had brought him to this point. Goku's eyes widened in wonder. Wow, that's a lot to take in. Honestly, my friend Vegeta would probably know way more about all this than I do. Morellory froze, his brow furrowing. "You mean King Vegeta?" "No," Goku replied. "Matter of factly, his son, Prince Vegeta." "Prince Vegeta," Morellory murmured, his voice tinged with awe. "I've only heard tales of him." Goku shrugged. "He's intense, but he's a good guy deep down. Kinda." Shaking off the surprise, Morellory changed the subject, recounting how he had obtained his ship and describing the strange orange orb he had traded to the infamous Lit Force. Goku's expression immediately turned serious. "That's a Dragon Ball!" he exclaimed. "We have them on Earth." "If those things fall into the wrong hands, they could cause some serious damage," said Goku. The realization hit Morellory like a thunderbolt. I handed that power over to the Lit Force, an organization known for its ruthlessness. What have I done? Goku placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Then we'll fix it together, Morellory. The journey back to Barbican was tense, but Goku's optimism kept Morellory focused. Upon arrival, they sought out Lit, the enigmatic leader of the Lit Force. The massive outlaw sat on her throne, flanked by her top warriors, Charcora, Flua, and Flame. The 6 Dragon Balls lay in her ornate display beside her, their glowing casting eerie shadows across the room. Morellory stepped forward, his voice firm. "I've come to reclaim the Dragon Ball I traded to you. Take my ship back, with interest." Lit chuckled, her fiery orange hair matching the flames tattooed on her arms. "Tempting, but no. These orbs are mine now." Goku, ever direct, walked up and grinned. "How about this? If we spar, and I win, we take all the Dragon Balls." Lit's eyes narrowed, her lips curling into a smirk. "You've got guts, Saiyan. I like that. Very well. You against me, and your friend faces my top 3 warriors." The room erupted with energy as the battle commenced. Morellory faced Charcora, Flua, and Flame in rapid succession. Charcora's relentless flame-based attacks tested his agility, but his Tuffle intellect allowed him to analyze her patterns and counterstrike, leaving her stunned. Flua's fluid, unpredictable movements were challenging, but Morellory's Saiyan instincts took over, overpowering her in a heated clash. Finally, Flame, the strongest of the 3, pushed Morellory to his limits. With her fiery berserker strength, summoning every ounce of his energy, he delivered a decisive blow, emerging victorious but drained. Meanwhile, Goku's battle with Lit was a spectacle of power and skill. Lit wielded techniques that mimicked the flickering unpredictability of fire, but Goku's Super Saiyan form outmatched her at every turn. The instant transmission Kamehameha sealed the fight, leaving Lit defeated, but impressed. The Dragon Balls were now in Morellory's hands. As he stared at the 6 glowing orbs, he turned to Goku. "What should I do with them?" Goku smiled, his tone unusually serious. "Dragon Balls aren't toys. They're powerful, and should only be used when there's a real need, never for evil." Morellory nodded, his resolve strengthening. "I'll find the 7th Dragon Ball and become the guardian of Barbican's Dragon Balls. They won't be used unless there's a great emergency. I owe my parents that much." Goku grinned. "Sounds like a plan. You're going to do great, Morellory." As they prepared to part ways, the 2 Saiyans clasped hands. "Take care, cousin," Morellory said. "You too," Goku replied, his grin as bright as ever. With a final wave, Goku used instant transmission, vanishing in a flash of light. Morellory returned to Hikora's mountain, his heart full of purpose. The road ahead was uncertain, he knew that much, but he was ready to walk it nonetheless. Not as a lone warrior, but as the protector of Barbican's legacy. The end. Thank you all. I hope you enjoyed that story. A Dragon Ball story of Morellory the Saiyan-Tuffle hybrid who defied all odds for knowledge and truth. This has been another Shadow story. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. And I hope you enjoy the ambience. Good evening, good morning,